Ready to rock and roll.
It's fun whenever I have an artist here by the radio station. I feel like some people travel with the artist. There's usually a label person. There's usually a manager. I was here about a half hour ago, and I saw this guy just walking around the halls.
Just
Nobody
running
here.
around.
I was like, what are you doing, man? He's like, I'm just roaming. I'm just hanging out. And I was
like to wander.
Yeah. It was pretty fun because I was like, man, that's a guy. We're pre-recorded, so I can say this. That's a guy who doesn't give a fuck. And I know that this interview will be fun.
Yeah, man. Of course it will. We don't give a fuck.
We have some people that don't give a fuck, and that's a lot of fun. Halsey Yungblud, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Exciting times. The song is out now. It is called 11 Minutes. Let's just start with how you guys, on a creative level, met. Was this a thing like the label put together?
Hell no.
Yeah, it's kind of exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
You know, I think sometimes when a collaboration comes together, it can be a bit like that. It's like someone in a room is like, I have this idea. Let's put this artist with this artist, and it will be massive. For us, it was like I was home, and I was wrapping up my cycle, and I had some off time. I was a huge fan of his work, and I wanted to meet him really badly. And he happened to be in LA one day. So I just hit him up and was like, yo, you want to go have a beer? We went and had some beers. A lot of beers.
A lot of beers.
Good.
A lot of beers.
And we started talking about music, you know, the kind of music we grew up on. It was really cool because we grew up in the same kind of music in different parts of the world. And he was telling me about this record that he'd been wanting to write that had this really amazing backstory about this couple, and something tragic happens. I'll let you get into that later.
Yeah,
but
no stress.
I ended up jumping in the studio the next day. And, you know, he had already been writing the record, and I kind of showed up and was like, I need to be a part of it because I'm so moved by the story. We were sitting around listening to the record, and we were like, it needs something, it's missing something. And we called Travis, and he happened to be free and was like,
You called Travis.
I called Travis.
I absolutely did not call Travis.
He happened to be free, and he came by, listened to the song once, and was into it, and just like, of course, he's a genius. He hears it one time and just gets in the studio and just completely kills it. And it was like within 36 hours, it went from this idea we were talking about to this fully incubated thing. But then came the funny part, which was like 2 days later, us having to call our managers and be like, I have a song. My managers were like, what are you doing? You're not even supposed to be in the studio. What do you mean you have a song? I was like, yeah, we're stoked on it. So it was the opposite of like a put together label-y thing.
There's no way your managers weren't completely thrilled. They're like, wait, you made a song with that guy, and you made a song with Travis Barker.
They were stoked.
And you know, everybody had to be pumped.
It was crazy, man. It was like such a weird couple days. It was just mental. It was like just so much energy. Was in the room, man, and I think that comes out in a record so blatantly. You know, I think it has the energy of a rock record, but the chorus of a pop song, and that's kind of what I think that's important. You know, what I mean, I think that's a really important thing.
It's been my experience in the past, though, when it happens that fast, that usually means it's right. You don't have to like crank it out over and over.
You can't Frankenstein something. Like you can't take a bunch of broken parts and go, well, maybe if I put them together this way, it'll work. It comes to life or it doesn't.
Good.
You know, that's totally how it's supposed to be. And my favorite thing about 11 Minutes is like when we were in the mixing process of trying to get the record together, the one thing that was really important to us was that you could tell we were all in the room together when we made the song. It wasn't like flown across the country in emails and stems and, well, you do this like this and you do this like this and let's try this person on it. Let's do this. You can tell we were 5 of us with the 2 amazing producers, Zach Savini, Chris Griotti, who helped us do the record, and we were all in the studio together, and it would just happen. It was organic, and it was the product of us having a conversation about the music that we grew up on, which is why I think it kind of has that nostalgic.
Sure.
You know, it reminds me of the music I was listening to in like 07, you know, which is crazy to think that's over a decade ago. Oh my God.
12 years, man.
I was going to ask specifically, what were some of those bands? So you've referenced it twice now, the music that you guys grew up on. What were some of the specific bands?
For starters, Blink-182.
Yeah,
which
that
is
was a
how
mutual
Travis-
thing.
Sure.
That was a total mutual thing. And that's what I said. I was like, bro, it needs something on it, man. The drums feel too electronic or too kind of energyless. So it's like, we need something a bit like Blink-182, and you're just like, oh yeah, man, I can text Travis Barker. I'm like, what?
Do it.
Really?
Yeah.
And then she did, and that happened. But what's weird is we kind of listened to the same music, but
different.
It was kind of like the territories we grew up in. It was exactly the same I grew up on Britpop.
Yep.
And you grew up on like new wave emo.
Yeah, like emo revival. Like,
of course.
stuff.
Yeah.
Which is the same thing. If you look at it, it talks about the same things, but in different ways of like different languages. You know what I mean? Almost.
It was a conversation of like, we were aware too, but the passion was in different places. So it was like sitting down and him being like, do you know Oasis? I'm like, of course I know Oasis. He's like, okay, but do you know them? Like, I know them. I grew up on this. And then me being like, okay, like, do you know Take It Back Sunday, Brand New, Fall Out Boy? And him being like, yeah, of course I do. I'm like, okay, but do you know them? Like, I know them. Where I grew up in the thick of this. I'm from New Jersey. You know, a lot of these bands were coming out of Long Island or coming out of New Jersey. And I was watching this, like, reality TV thing happen in the Warped Tour scene where the bands were feuding and they were saying stuff in interviews, and the same thing was happening across this.
It's so funny because you just said that, and it's exactly the same in the North.
Yeah.
It's like it all came out like Oasis, the Arctic Monkeys. It all came out of the North.
Yeah.
And like that's so crazy that it came out of Jersey too. That just blew my mind.
Where we're from is like the same place in different countries.
Yeah.
Like he's from Doncaster, I'm from New Jersey, and they're both that like small town like. You start a family early, you get a job, you stay there, you never really go anywhere. And we were both like kids who were like, I'm getting out of here. And everyone was like, sure you are. You know?
There's also, it seems to be a layer of authenticity with all of the bands that you talked about. Again, maybe different musical styles,
100%.
but sort of like the way you described, you made the song. This is not a manufactured thing. These are bands that all were actual bands that got up and they played their instruments and they got in the same room and they wrote these songs and they did those things. And that is something that today certainly exists, but I don't know, for me is a special thing when it thrives.
Totally.
And that was so crazy what I learned about, I'm saying Ash, but Halsey. What I learned about Halsey was that like there was such a reality there. Do you know what I mean? You never know because you know what I mean? When I first met, I was like, I'm meeting this pop star for a beer, whatever. Yeah. And there was just this sense of reality that became apparent so instantaneously. You know what I mean? And I think that was so important to me because I saw it. I knew she was so authentic, and I knew she represented something that was more than her music. But seeing that in person is very different to seeing it on Instagram.
Well, you say that, but it's funny because I was a bit jaded. You know what I mean? Like I grew up on the Warped Tour scene, and I mean, I was like, I had my ears stretched an inch wide. I was like all over MySpace. Like I was not even a scene kid. I was like a hardcore kid growing up. You know what I mean? And I was going to watch like local hardcore bands. My first Bring Me the Horizon concert was in 2009.
Wow.
2009.
Yeah.
I was 14. Like, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. That was 10 years ago. 10 years ago. Jeez. And they just played the Forum. You know what I mean? So I think for me, it's like, you know, I was kind of in that pop commercial world, and it was fun and it's great, and I love what I do, but I sat down with Dom, with Yungblud, and it's so weird to call you that.
Yeah, sure.
And he was just so excited, and he was so passionate, and I watched his live show, and it's one of the best live shows I've seen in years, and he has such a language with his fans, and it's kind of a bit like, you know, he thinks it and then he makes it. Yeah. And then there's no in between. There's nothing that stops him along the way where he's second guessing and he's nervous. If he thinks it, he makes it. And that's really admirable. So, you know, I'm getting into making my third album, and like in a way I feel like I've put out like 7 albums and I'm like old and I need to retire. But on the other hand, it's like, wow, I'm really just kind of starting out.
Absolutely.
And for me to meet him at this time and to watch how organic and excited, you know, he is about it, it kind of lit like a little bit of a spark in me, you know. It made me like, oh yeah, we can just get in the studio and we can just make a song and we can just call Travis Barker and we can then just put it out, and it doesn't need to be anything, you know, contrived. It does't need to be like, well, the label says that we should. No, it's like we made a song and we're putting it out. We're musicians. That's what we do. It's great. It's nice to be inspired. Totally. Yeah. It's encouraging and it's invigorating, no doubt about it. How'd it go playing it live for the first time in Australia? Was it great?
Was sick, man.
Was it fun?
Did you have fun?
Heck yeah.
I had fun.
Good.
No, it was crazy. I remember literally like, we were a bit nervous because we're both very energetic and both kind of got dominant personalities. So we were like, how are we going to share this stage? But then in soundcheck, it was like, it was wicked. And we just kind of moved and found a rhythm, and
no one got a broken nose.
Good.
So
Yeah,
that's
no.
good, 'cause
Well,
I
maybe
thought,
not. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I
guess
thought
that's
it
good.
was gonna happen because we're both like, you know, we're both pretty aggressive on stage. You know, like
I know what you're
he's
talking
all
about.
I can
like
sense that. Yeah.
he's all wires and guitar flips and jumping, and I'm all mic flips and crouching and running.
She
And,
will
and I
never
was like,
teach me how to
we're-
do that.
No, it's
I
my
want to
trick.
learn how to do the
We're
mic
two
flip,
bulls
man.
in a china shop. I was like, man, we could really hurt each other if this doesn't go right. But we found like a really good rhythm, and it was just as natural as it was in the
Good.
studio, you know, on stage. So we're excited to get to perform it together
man, I can't
a
wait.
couple more times, and yeah.
Awesome. The video's not out as we're recording this right now. By the time this video's out in the world, the
Yeah.
video will be out. So can we talk about the video?
Yeah, of
Okay,
course we
good.
can.
Yeah. The only thing I got from the little teaser, is there a car crash in there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And I think I saw that in the artwork as
Yes,
well. Tell us
there
what you can
is.
tell us about the video.
I mean, it was kind of weird, like, steering the ship musically was kind of me, but then when the video became about, Ash just kind of came up with this concept. It was like, yo, I've had this thing in my head, and told me, and I was like, wow, that's really good. That
Okay, so for the people who have no idea what you're talking about,
so
what?
They know.
What do you mean? You're like, yeah, and she had this idea, and it was a thing, and it was cool.
I was just
and
gonna let you
sick.
explain it. Explain the idea. I was setting you up. I was literally giving you like a little setup.
It's the story. Do you want to tell the story of the song first, and then I'll talk about the video?
Okay, great. Okay, the story of the song tells the story of two young people who kind of were the perfect couple in high school every time. It just happens every single year.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We were
Of course.
saying earlier.
Everybody's had those people, yeah.
Exactly, and they were going to be together forever in your, you know what I mean, that you just know that. And they broke up because of the kind of the way society teaches us things about relationships now, that maybe success and power is more important than love nowadays. That's what kind of society kind of puts on us.
Absolutely.
And these two young people break up for this reason, and a couple of years go by, and I say, I cannot live without you. I genuinely can't. My life is just not right without you. And they agree to meet up and kind of talk and rekindle something. And she texts him saying, I'm 11 minutes away, and he's waiting for her, and on the way she gets hit by a car in a car accident.
I was so in love with that story until like the last
Yeah,
sentence
dude.
right there. Oh my gosh.
But we were just having
yeah.
drinks and talking about the places we come from, that small town mentality of kind of like, hey, did you ever think you were going to be doing this? Like, no, man, I didn't. I thought I was going to graduate from high school, get married, have a baby, you know, whatever, like that kind of thing. And that's where and it was like, did you ever have that couple? Did you ever have this thing? And then that story came up. And he was like, I've been wanting to write this song about it. And I was like, you have to. That's like so real. Yeah. So when we were talking about the video, we're both really into that kind of like non-linear storytelling thing, that Black Mirror, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, like kind of like confuse the viewer thing. And I thought it would be really interesting to explore the 5 stages of grief. So when you love someone and you lose them in such a tragic way that the song is about, you're kind of forced to relive it over and over and over again. So the video is about Dom's protagonist waking up to an alarm on his watch that starts counting down from 11 minutes. And he has 11 minutes to stop the accident.
Wow.
And he fails every time. And it's kind of that thing of like when you lose someone and you're like in your head, like, well, what could I have done? What could I have done? What could I have done? And like the reality is nothing. You can't interfere with fate. But this is Dom over and over again in 11 minutes trying to interfere with fate through the 5 stages of grief. So the first one is denial. The second one is anger, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance. And in the end of the video, he finds peace in having lost her, and he's not doomed to repeat the cycle anymore, and the minutes give up. And it was like, I just had this idea for this video, and we worked with Colin Tilley, who's a brilliant music video director.
I was just going to ask, who did you trust this vision to? Tell me about Colin.
He's a frequent collaborator of mine, and he's just absolutely, incredible. He brings things to life in such a magnetic way. Like, this video, I'm so excited about because it looks exactly how we pictured it.
Cool.
Like it looks exactly how he pictured it. It's like futuristic, kind of this like retro future, Black Mirror, like weird timeline kind of thing. And he acts his ass off in it. He acts his
How was that for you? Was it okay?
Kind of sick, man. I've been wanting to like act for ages, and everyone's just like, dude, just focus on the music, man.
Sure.
Like, yeah, fairs, I get it. So it was good.
Yeah.
It was good. It was a bit of an emotional day. I remember, like by the end of it, I was like, whew.
Yeah.
I like cried too many times, man.
I believe it. Well, it's so funny because, again, I haven't had a chance to see it, so I'm kind of bummed out right now. But everyone watching this right now, they just have to scroll down a little bit, and they'll be able to watch
somewhere on YouTube.
exactly what we're talking about. So you've kind of said this, but if it's more, let me know. Where does this project go from here? Is this right now? This is a song, and we're having fun with this song.
We're a band.
And
Yeah,
No, we're not a
band.
oh yeah,
No, we're not.
yeah.
We're not a
I didn't
band.
think so. It's just that this is a song, and we're just gonna see what this song does. And it was created in this beautiful spur of the moment way. And at this point, that's what this is.
I mean, we write music together a
I
lot.
think so.
Yeah.
I think we're like, I really love writing with her because I just really admire her mind and the way she thinks. So I don't think we're gonna put any label on anything. I think we'll just write what we write and just do
Yeah.
what we do, and we kind of just do it a lot, don't we? You know what I mean?
It's really conversational too. I think that you can be really precious about your art and be like, you don't want other people's opinions, or like you can you can become a bit of an overwhelming presence in a room when you're writing, where it's like all your ideas all the time, no interference. And I think that we both, I don't want to say humbled ourselves, because it wasn't like we weren't humble, but kind of just like, it was like we were interested. It was peculiar. It was like when he was writing or when I was writing, it was that moment of, I'm kind of interested in what they're
Yeah,
doing
what you
over
got
there.
there.
That's
Of
pretty
course.
cool,
Yeah,
you know? And it just became, the harmony of it was really, really natural. And I like I love the perspective. I mean, I love making music with someone who grew up in the same music as me, because they keep me focused and they keep me focused on why I started making music to begin with. You know?
Totally. Well, there's no doubt about it. It is fun. It is exciting. It is a moment. No pressure on any other like further music or album or band or any of this stuff. Yeah, you do you. We are super excited. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Yungblud, Halsey. The song is called 11 Minutes. The video's right below us. It's all 98.7. Cool.
Skate.
It's awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's great.